We're actually going to be the air taxi provider for Dubai.
We're making the greatest weapon system in American history.
We're building the first automated work instruction platform.
We're partnered commercially with Uber and with Delta to be able to integrate our service seamlessly into these different consumer-facing products. We realized that this is a very capital-intensive business. Toyota came in early as an investor.
Toyota Motor Corporation announced it will invest $500 million in new funding for Joby Aviation.
I was starting to get the feeling that the West was forgetting how to build great things, and I wanted to make sure that didn't happen. A lot of folks who actually knew how to do things correctly and took pride in that work are retiring. The net new talent that comes in that's like addicted to TikTok doesn't care.
I sold my last company to DoorDash.
Imagine selling your startup to DoorDash and then turning around and building an AI-powered machine gun.
And then right when the deal closed, Putin invaded Ukraine.
Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
And we saw very early on that the countermeasures we were investing in as a country, I don't think those are going to be like long-term sustainable.
Allison, Filip Aronshtein, Steve, welcome to Sourcery. Allison, welcome to Sourcery.
Thanks for having me.
We're at day 2 of Reindustrialize, and we're talking about manufacturing in America. You had some big news yesterday for Joby. Could you share more about that?
Absolutely. So we were really excited to announce that we are expanding our California facilities and actually doubling our capacity overall at our pilot manufacturing site in Marina, California. And we're just opening a new building. And that's really exciting because we've been doing a lot of work there for a while, but this represents kind of the next step in the evolution of our basically made in America manufacturing that we're doing for this new generation of electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. And actually, so we are actually also taking steps to expand into Ohio. We acquired a building, we've been refurbishing it. We now have equipment coming in. We're training employees at our California facilities to start production of parts out of that Ohio facility. That'll be part of our certified aircraft that we're building.
So exciting. So why did you decide to double down in America versus manufacture elsewhere?
So we're a company that's born kind of on the coast of California, Santa Cruz, California. And we've really been investing in, from the very beginning, in an approach that I think in the industry we call vertical integration. So we figured out very early on in the process of developing this revolutionary new type of aircraft that the components, the parts to actually make this aircraft just weren't available. You couldn't buy them from anyone. You had to make them essentially. So that's in the DNA of Joby. We started doing that very early on. Our founder and CEO, Joby Aviation, was he's a longtime engineer, a very successful serial entrepreneur in other industries. And he brought that experience to bear when Joby was started. And so we've started to build out that capability. And we really value the idea of designing, building, and testing in as tight of a loop as you can, because that's how you drive innovation in this new wave of technologies that we're bringing to market. And so that kind of just led to that philosophy. We're building near where we are, right? And so we built the facilities to manufacture, to test everything that we have to do, all in that tightly knit way. And as we figure that out, then we can bring in other sites like Ohio, where we're actually expanding to those new locations, where we can take that learning, expand to that location, then put it together into the aircraft that we're building.
Are they going to be manufacturing 2 different aircrafts? I know that with this announcement, you also announced a new aircraft to your fleet. So
that's right.
How are they going to strategically?
So actually everything will be feeding into this one aircraft, and we actually have a nice representation of it here at Reindustrialize that people can see.
It's the most popular entrance.
Yeah, it's really cool. We have it in a perfect location, like right at the front door. So it's great to someday people will just be able to land and walk right in, right? So that's not quite there yet, but working on it. We are working on the certification of our aircraft with the FAA, and what that entails is it's a very intensive process of first working with the FAA to define what it means to even be able to design this type of an aircraft. And so setting up the rules essentially, and then working methodically downstream of those rules to kind of define how you're going to meet the rules and all of the different myriad tests that you have to do to prove with documentation and in many cases, FAA people actually witnessing the tests that you're doing and signing off, like literally signing off on it, that you are meeting those rules, and your performance of all of your little parts is mapping to what you agreed to. And that's that process that we're in right now. So all of the stuff we're building, whether or not it's parts in Ohio or lots of parts in California, that's all feeding into the aircraft that demonstrate the compliance to those rules to get to the certification of the aircraft.
Joby is a operationally expensive, regulatory heavy company, and you had decided to go public earlier on in the life cycle than other companies. It's probably one of the largest like frontier tech companies that's public. What was the decision to do that earlier on than later? Like strategically, was it financing? Because now you get access to secondaries via public markets. How do you think about that as you build out this like really CapEx heavy business?
I mean, I think that's all part of the equation. So we were founded in 2009 and stayed very small for a long time, really understanding the fundamentals, the foundational pieces of that technology, understanding what needed to be invented, what worked, what didn't. And it was in 2019, 2020, they closed in 2020. We raised the first big round. It was a Series C that Toyota led. So Toyota came in early as an investor from one of their venture arms, and then came in and led the Series C, which is between $400 and $500 million that we raised. But we realized that this is a very capital intensive business, and especially with a vertical integrated model. And we don't just vertically integrate down into designing, building, and testing all of the components that go into the vehicle platform. We're actually vertically integrating up as well, I like to think of it as. So we're vertically integrating to the customers. So we're actually designing and building the software that then takes that vehicle, the aircraft, and lets you book it on demand, either through the app that we're developing or through one of our partners. So we're partnered commercially with Uber and with Delta, for example, to be able to integrate our service seamlessly into these different consumer-facing products that will allow anyone to get a ride basically when they want to. So all of that takes a lot of capital, and so we took advantage of an opportunity that presented itself in 21. We listed. We worked with one of a company, a SPAC company called Reinvent, which was a great partner, some great backers, and so we've been off to the races since then, and so hard at work at bringing this technology to market.
This is not financial advice, but I saw the stock last night and then this morning, and I was like, "Whoa, you guys had a little bit of a run up the last couple days."
Yeah, we're excited to see enthusiasm across the board for what we're doing, and so we think it's we got a lot of potential here, and we're really excited to be making great progress, whether or not it's in manufacturing or in testing. I was in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, where we have been doing a bunch of work with the UAE government there, and we're actually going to be the air taxi provider for Dubai once we launch. And so we were doing some initial proving flights in the desert, where it's like quite hot and actually surprisingly humid. We were, I think at the max temperature we flew in was something like 43 C. It's like 110 degrees, something like that. And kind of stress testing a lot of our components and making sure the air conditioning works for the pilots and future passengers inside the aircraft. So that's really fun that we're able to show with real world work that we're doing, like what this looks like, what it sounds like. That's a really important part of this. And I don't think we have it here, but we have even a little experience, and you can see it online actually, on what the acoustics of this aircraft are like. Because this is actually one of the things we invested in really early. So that time when we were really small, a lot of that early foundational work we were doing was understanding what are the trade-offs, what are the different key innovations in technology that are necessary to make a product that actually can work. Because today you can get an air taxi in New York and other places, but it's a helicopter, right? And there's a kind of a limit on the scaling that's possible with that technology for a couple of different reasons. Cost is one of them; it's pretty expensive. But another really important one is noise. And so, if anyone that lives near where the helicopters fly, I've talked to a lot of people that had the experience. It's like, yeah, it's just really loud, right? And it's great if you can do it, but it's really loud. And so we really early on invested in the foundational understanding of the physics to make a really quiet aircraft. And so that's part of even like what we were showing in Dubai to the different folks that were seeing these demonstrations and the proving flights that we're doing, is just like letting people experience what the acoustics of this is like. And so it's hard to describe, but basically we could have this conversation when the aircraft is taking off and landing 300 feet away without really raising our voices. And then when it's up and flying, it's basically silent when it's overhead. So if at 1,500 feet, which is pretty low actually, flying, you just hear it go whisper as it comes by. And that's a really, really different experience when it comes to the acoustics of how these aircraft work. And we've spent a lot of time and energy investing into that to make something that's pretty remarkable for the ability to integrate them into communities and have people want to have this, in their backyard, basically.
So we're not going to have to wear headsets and microphones when we're cruising with our friends to dinner in XYZ city.
You might still have to wear the headset, but maybe to hear the pilot. So it's
Okay.
It's kind of fun though to wear the headsets in the.
It's really fun. Let's be honest, it's fun. I want to talk more about the consumer experience because it's a delightful thing. We've been wanting flying cars for a while. I don't think helicopters are flying cars, but I think this is more akin to a flying car. So could you explain more of like what that experience will be like to the consumer?
Absolutely. So fundamentally, you're going to open up an app on your phone. Maybe it's a Joby app, maybe it's Uber, our rideshare partner, and you'll select where you want to go. Just like today, you open up Uber and you say, I want to go to the airport, or I want to go to downtown or something, and in the Joby app, the only option will be Joby, but in the Uber app, so you'll be able to kind of choose like the Joby option, which is going to be faster than any other way to go, and so then the reason why we're integrating and have partners, a partner like Uber for rideshare, is that typically people won't be right next to where one of these aircraft can take off and land. So we think of it as vertiports or skyports, like to call them, and so, depending on where you are, a car will come and get you, just like a car picks you up today if you're just going to ride in a car all the way. But instead of taking you to your destination and maybe sitting in an hour or two of traffic or something, depending on where you're going, it'll just take you a few minutes to the nearest vertiport. And then what we're doing is building the backend technology that we can have multiple people kind of meeting just in time, essentially, at that vertiport, who are all kind of going in the same direction. So it's kind of a kind of just in time shared ride type of experience, which helps to drive the economics better. So it's cheaper essentially per seat for the folks that want to take the rides. And then when you land at wherever it is you're going, and kind of the destination vertiport, cars will be kind of dispatched just in time again to pick you up and the other people who are on the aircraft to go to your final destination. If you're close enough, you can just walk, which sometimes is a really great experience. But if you're not, a car will take you there. So that's the idea of this kind of seamless multimodality, I like to call it, whereas, car, Joby, car is, or car, Joby, walk is kind of the idea, and it's all kind of woven together, and the technology just makes it work in the back end. You don't have to think about it. Now that might seem difficult, and it is, but we actually have done this and tested this out. So I came from Uber, where I ran the Elevate team previously before Joby acquired it, and we actually had a product that we built and ran actually for a while to test this all out. We used helicopters. We were in Manhattan, and we actually though had this showed up in the Uber app, and people selected it. We did lots of trips for people, and we kind of like demonstrated how you could do this matching, and you could get people to kind of meet just in time at the heliport. In fact, one of the interesting challenges was that a lot of the Uber drivers had never dropped people off at a heliport before, and where it was like easy to miss. And so we actually ended up having to put our general manager out there with a sign, say like, turn here. Right? Like that was one of the interesting operational problems we had to solve to make it work. But I think it was a really great proof point that you can do this. And if you build the right technology back end, you can make this a really great experience.
Sourcery is brought to you by Brex, the financial stack trusted by more than 30,000 companies, including 1 in 3 venture-backed startups in the US. Nearly 40% of startups fail because they run out of cash. Brex is literally built to help founders avoid that. Unlike traditional banks that let your money sit idle, chipping away at it with fees, Brex is designed to help you spend smarter and move faster. Their all-in-one solution combines checking, treasury, and FDIC protection into one powerful account. You can send and receive money globally at lightning speeds, get 20 times the standard FDIC coverage through their partner banks, and even high yield from day one. With same-day and even same-hour liquidity, access your funds anytime. Companies like Scale AI, DoorDash, ServiceTitan, HIMS, Anthropic, Flexport, Robinhood, and Plaid trust and use Brex. Start today at brex.com/sorcery. That's BREX.com/sorcery.
One of Sourcery's partners is Brex, and they're all about spending smarter, moving faster. And this seems very much in line with that. So they're focused on performance. And one of the things that they kind of help a lot of startups, enterprises with is become more efficient as organizations as they scale. For Joby, like, how do you think about that when you scale up the company because it's so capital intensive? Like, how are you moving internally? What systems are you constantly checking, or like milestones are you reaching?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's when we have a couple thousand people working at Joby across all of the different sites and disciplines. Everything from folks who are building the composite parts that actually make up the aircraft to the folks writing the software that's building that customer experience that I was just describing. And so you have to keep people aligned and driving toward goals. And so we do a lot of that. We set up goals and we drive people toward them. We drive to accomplishments and celebrate the accomplishments when we get there. And but we also are building systems that help to make this easier too. So we're looking at how do we leverage kind of the latest advances in AI across different aspects of the enterprise. Whether it's kind of like mundane things where it's like really easy now to get fantastic results on reading a shipping slip, right, or a packing slip in a shipment. And you can integrate these tools right into systems, especially when you're developing them ourselves like we are, to more advanced things. Like how do you start to kind of augment and enhance some of the work that engineers are doing across the board, beyond just kind of the speeding up coding that lots of people are doing. We have that well embraced across our entire team.
That's so interesting. I just came across this company called Turing that helps build and deploy next generation AGI systems across real world problems. And so it brings up a funny question for, these manufacturing-esque companies, physical products, but a lot of them come down to data because you're collecting lots of data with like every flight, every test that you take off. How are you thinking about AGI and data within the organization?
Yeah, so we are building kind of a really intense data foundation across the whole company. So electric aircraft are kind of massive data machines, basically, which is really it's really cool. We have to choose what data to keep instead of what data to collect, right? So we have a richness of data because computers run the whole airplane, and so they collect data at some crazy high rate, and you have to be like, well, I only need that every one a second instead of like 100 times a second or something, right? For different data sources. So we generate gigabytes and gigabytes and gigabytes of data on every flight, and we've built a whole data system where every time we do a test flight, we pull like very fine-grained data off the airplane. It goes right up a secure pipe into the cloud, and then a whole bunch of processing gets kicked off, and dashboards show up for all of our engineers to review that data. And that all happens just automatically every time we fly. And we're building on that foundation. And one of our partners on this is Databricks. We use it pretty heavily across everything. And with that vertical integration, we can bring everything into the same context, whether or not it's flight test data, manufacturing data, safety data for our enterprise safety management system that we're building. And that's really important to be able to work with your data in a single context and then do really interesting things with it as our developments and the work that we're doing rolls forward.
Hopefully we get some Joby AI agents soon.
We have lots of agents running internally. Yeah.
That's exciting. As we wrap up, I really want to know, what are you most looking forward to this year?
So we've got a lot more great stuff in store. We're making progress across every front, whether that's flight testing, whether or not it's the manufacturing certification work is the kind of the North Star that we're all driving toward. So I can't wait to tell the world about more of the things that we're doing in the weeks and months ahead.
Exciting. Well, I can't wait to go check out the aircraft you have outside. Maybe I'll get in it. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. You can get. Okay. We have a selfie station, so you can take a selfie.
We're gonna go straight down there. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
In today's high-speed business world, staying ahead means using the smartest tools possible, including the powerful capabilities of artificial intelligence. Meet Turing Intelligence. Turing builds customizable AI systems designed to solve your mission-critical challenges no matter your industry. From expert guidance to tailored projects, Turing helps top companies realize AI that's more capable, more adaptable, and more effective. With Turing, discover how AI can accelerate your business growth. To learn more, visit turing.com/sorcery, spelt SOURCERY. That's turing.com/sorcery. Filip Aronshtein, welcome to Sourcery.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Molly.
How is it out there at Reindustrialize?
It is packed.
It is?
Yes. You've never seen so many people who care about saving the West. It is exciting. I'm excited to be here. Excited to see so many familiar faces. Some would actually characterize it as really just a really big Twitter meetup, but it's actually more than that. A lot of folks from all over the world coming to Reindustrialize to talk about how do we turn the tides of the degrading industrial base that we are looking at in this country.
And we are in the heart of America.
In Detroit.
Detroit.
It's where we did it. It's where we did it. We're gonna continue doing it.
And do it better.
Do it better than it's ever been done before. Yeah.
So how are you keeping yourself energized today?
Well, thanks to our sponsor at Dirac, C4, the energy drink of America. That's how I'm staying afloat. We stock these in the office. I actually I'm from New York.
Are they actually a sponsor?
No, that would be awesome.
Okay.
C4, if you're watching this, we would love for you to sponsor our company or to work with you in some capacity. We actually stock C4s. Like we have some Red Bull, but like mostly it's C4 in the
Figure out who
fridge.
their manufacturer is. Get integrated.
Yeah, I think Cellucor owns them. It's my understanding. But I mean, these are delicious. I've been taking C4 as a pre-workout for roughly 10 years. So
how's that going?
That's great. It's great. I love C4. My heart might be exploding, but it's with passion and pride for America and not the stimulants that are in C4 pre-workout.
Talking about passion and pride for America, we are at Reindustrialize. What excites you most about this year at Reindustrialize?
So there are last year's Reindustrialize was really great in that we got a bunch of different companies to come together and try it out. Like, there are manufacturing conferences all over the place. These are not like new things that happen, but there hasn't been so much of a Silicon Valley tech orientation towards them. And they haven't been positioned with such a level of aggression. Like the mission of Reindustrialize is we cannot let the American industrial base degrade anymore. You go to your average manufacturing conference. We were at Automate this year. Really cool conference. A lot of really cool companies. Also here in Detroit. It's actually down the block. It was about a month or two ago. But the vibe there, the environment there is not sort of there isn't urgency. And Reindustrialize is about urgency. It's about addressing a really, really dangerous trend that we're all witnessing happen to the American industrial base, and that's its degradation. And if that degradation continues, it will eventually result in collapse, and with that, our way of life. So that is the sentiment. That is the patriotism and fervor and energy that a lot of people are bringing to the conference this year, especially.
There are some critical players in the building this week. We even have some protesters. I don't know what
I love the protesters.
About,
yeah.
We love that. It shows that you're doing something.
This is the thing. If you didn't have protesters, it would mean that what you're doing doesn't matter, right? So I love the protesters. It's hilarious. They are like Palantir protesters for the most part.
Yeah, they always have, fangirls.
Yeah.
Good for them.
They're like, screw Alex Karp, stop working with the CIA. It's hilarious because, as everybody knows, Palantir runs the CIA, right? And so I find it amusing that protesters are coming out. There's only like maybe 10 of them out there. It's kind of disappointing. I was expecting a better turnout because you're not doing something like you said, you're not doing something special unless people are turning out to say you should stop it. So they can come in, we can give them jobs. I know the whole reason they're protesting is because they're generally unemployed and unemployable, but we could actually employ them in a production line. Detroit is a city that we have, I think, 2.5 million.
Future. Let's show the future.
It's like we have 2.5 million open jobs in manufacturing. We need more people who are willing to put down the phone, turn off TikTok, and get on a production line. And the protesters, we can start with them.
Sourcery is proudly sponsored by Carta. Carta is transforming the private marketplace, connecting founders, investors, and limited partners through software purpose-built for private capital. Trusted by more than 65,000 companies in over 160 countries. Carta's platform of software and services lays the groundwork so you can build, invest, and scale with confidence. Carta's fund administration platform supports over 9,000 funds and SPVs, representing nearly $185 billion in assets under management, with tools designed to enhance the strategic impact of fund CFOs. For more information, visit carta.com/sorcery. That's carta.com/SOURCERY.
Production lines are fun. You are helping reindustrialize America. I want to talk about you as a critical power player. So what is Dirac?
Dirac is a company driving America towards context-aware production planning. It's a new one-liner I'm going with lately. We at Dirac have built, I can give a little bit of background about myself just for a little context. So my background's originally in electrical engineering and robotics. Spent a little bit of time over at Northrop Grumman. Did a little bit of electrical engineering work, some mechanical engineering work, a little bit of technician work, and just got to see how unfortunately archaic all of the infrastructure was on the manufacturing side of things. I wanted to just do something about it. Right? I was starting to get the feeling that the West was forgetting how to build great things, and I want to make sure that didn't happen. And so Dirac, at our company, we're building what we call the first automated work instruction platform. So we'll take a CAD file or 3D model of an assembly as an input, figure out the assembly sequence automatically, and then automatically generate 80-90% of the assembly instructions for that system that we're trying to assemble. You can sort of liken it to, you ever build IKEA furniture? That little paper instruction book tells you how to build the thing? Imagine that, but instead of being like paper, which is what we actually have today in like most manufacturing facilities, you'll either have like a white binder that's like this thick with like a bunch of like photos, and it looks like templates out of like Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. That is like what the modern work instruction looks like today. It is unfortunately super paper-based, very archaic, very manual to make. It takes like weeks or months to make, and they suck, right? It's just like awful. So that is basically what people use to build planes and engines and cars and missiles all across the world, but especially the United States. And so what we've done is with BuildOS, we take your CAD file as an input. We will figure out the sequence automatically, and then in this 3D animated rendered environment, generate the assembly instructions for your manufacturing team.
So does this make it easier for workers, more efficient? What are the positive externalities of this?
So there are a bunch.
Sure it's a lot.
Instead of it taking like weeks or months to do your production plan, you can do it a couple minutes, couple hours, couple days tops, making the work instruction. And then what ends up happening is, we like to say like a picture is worth 1,000 words, but an animation is worth 1,000,000. Instead of a like literal IKEA, how awful it is to follow IKEA assembly instructions. Imagine somebody's like, all right, build this missile with this picture. Guys on the shop floor are looking at that and they're like, wow, I don't know how the hell this thing. So tons of questions. Things are built wrong. Things are built really poorly, unfortunately, in many cases. Scrap rates are super high because of that in many different cases. And so what we found is not only has our software made it fun and like actually enjoyable to do, like to make work instructions, but it makes lives a lot better for the guys on the shop floor. And so operators, like technicians who are actually doing the assembly on the shop floor, have this like interactive 3D animated guide to tell them how to make a thing. And we found that it also radically reduces like the high skill labor requirements needed to like bring new folks into your manufacturing facility. A lot of teams are reliant very, very heavily on tribal knowledge. And so there's stuff that like the average, employee at at a mid-market manufacturer has been there for 30 years. They barely use work instructions anymore because it's all in the dome, back of the head. And because of that, when they retire, they take all that tribal knowledge with them about how those things actually fit together at their facility. And so that is causing a lot of really cool companies to, unfortunately, either shut products down or even shut their facility down. So that is what we are enabling basically the 21st century upgrade to the modern American manufacturer by making sure that they do not have to shut down their facility and can do agile context-aware production planning.
The next generation workforce.
Indeed. Also, it's like, these guys are used to engineers love building tools for other engineers. Nobody really unfortunately cares about like folks in manufacturing. And so tooling hasn't really been built for them that's like cool and fun and useful and interesting. And so from that perspective, it actually like looks like a more interesting and fun career path for like somebody coming out of school to think like, what do I do with my life?
Who uses a book anymore?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's just a lot. It makes the job more exciting for people who are critical.
Right. Machines are fun. So if you can operate them faster, better, why not? Very true. Okay, so BuildOS had a really good launch vibe, set, campaign. I think you made a video, everything like that.
Yeah.
How's BuildOS doing?
It is ripping. We have been inundated with inbound. We need to hire aggressively. We're actively hiring right now.
What are you hiring for?
We're hiring for software engineers. Turns out AI is not going to replace all of them. And we actually need really, really smart software engineers to come help us build. We have a bunch of different things we need to, start building out, different modules, different extensions to the product. We, as it stands right now, we spent about 6 months rebuilding the product from scratch. It's now just relaunched it at the beginning of April. So it's now enterprise grade, ITAR compliant, and basically since then, past like a couple of months, like I mentioned, a lot of inbound, been going live with a bunch of these customers, companies that, based in the US, based in Europe, companies that are in aerospace and defense, automotive, agriculture and construction machinery, maritime. It's just been good. It's been really good. A bunch of really exciting partners, stuff that we're going to announce sort of gradually over time.
Any fun announcements we can bring up now?
Not on the pod today, unfortunately.
Okay.
Soon.
Yeah,
we got
back for that.
one of our really exciting very large scale partners. They actually came by our office in the Empire State Building it was on Monday. And so filmed this really cool partnership video, us plus them plus the customer that we partnered to serve. And that's gonna be a really cool video. They flew their whole team out.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
I can't wait to see it.
It's gonna rip.
I want to talk about your customers.
Okay.
Philip.
Yes.
You have been traveling around the US, knocking on doors, going directly to the manufacturing facilities and factories. What is the state of, the market? What is the on the ground read? How are these facilities actually running?
People cannot get product out the door fast enough. It's sort of there's two problems that we see, maybe three. There's for some types of systems, they aren't getting the demand that they used to. And so we're seeing second, third, fourth order effects that result from offshoring, where a tier 2 supplier in Long Island, for example, that used to sell to a tier 1 supplier that was based in Connecticut, that Connecticut-based facility was offshore to China. And now China has much cheaper labor. They have their own supplier base. And so it becomes a lot more difficult for that tier 2 supplier to sell. So we're finding that's the case. And then a lot of the times when you have really complex, very sophisticated and interesting sub-products or different sub-assemblies that you might want to sell, it might have been super useful and solve a really, really important problem 20 years ago as a product. But because the people that you're selling to have built their own supply chain somewhere else, this net new, interesting, novel product doesn't really have demand anymore. And so you're facing there's not as much demand, and then the supply when they do actually want to build that thing because somebody orders it or something like that, their supply chain's also just all over the place. They can't get parts as quickly as they need to. I would say quality is going down, unfortunately. Quality's going down. There has generally been an aging out of the American industrial base, the modern American manufacturers around early 50s. And because of that, a lot of folks who actually knew how to do things correctly and well and took pride in that work are retiring. And in a lot of cases, the net new talent that comes in that's addicted to TikTok, doesn't care. So yeah, I would say that's a little depressing to see, but we're also simultaneously seeing at a higher level with tariffs, with a lot of the sentiment that is starting to brew. Reindustrialize is a net new novel movement that is very exciting and very excited to be a part of it. But we're also seeing that they're the average American mid-market manufacturer, a company one of our customers, a company called Sputnik. Sputnik makes potato harvesting equipment you drag behind your tractors. Awesome company. We actually we brought a guy out from Sputnik to actually come join us here and reindustrialize and run one of the breakout rooms with us.
I love potatoes.
They're sick. These guys are based in Blackfoot, Idaho.
Oh my God.
They're awesome. They make some of the coolest machines. I'm
going to come for a site visit.
You should. We're actually going on site with them pretty soon.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's get the camera.
We actually do. So I actually will ping you about this. This is like a pretty up and coming thing. So they're awesome. And so if you look at a company like them, they are run by people who care. Like they want to win. They want to drive value for their customers, and they build some really crazy complex stuff. And so you look at a company like that, and you can see this sort of like undercurrent of like things are falling apart around us. Like we need to win. We need to work hard. We need to continue working hard. We need to invest in net new technology to like maintain our edge. And so we're seeing that like across the Midwest. We're seeing that across sort of like it's kind of interesting. You can break up like the manufacturing market into a bunch of different categories and subverticals and whatever. But the one really simple way to think about it is there are OEMs and there are mid-market manufacturers. There are also like SMBs, but for the most part, I'm just going to talk about OEMs. Sorry, well, actually, funny enough, there's like a different categorization you should actually be thinking about it with respect to, which is OEMs and tier 1 through 3 suppliers is like one breakup of them versus mid-market and enterprise. This is actually when I talk about like our market and how we like work with customers, it's actually like a 2x2. Most people assume that if you're talking about an OEM, you think like Ford or Toyota or Boeing, you assume that an OEM equals an enterprise. And when you think about like a supplier, you imagine that they're mid-market, but actually like there are mid-market OEMs, there are enterprise tier 1 through 3 suppliers. So I'm getting like in the weeds on this, but there is a massive population of like mid-market OEMs, these companies that like are not doing bajillions in revenue, like the Fords of the world, but they still make like an end product. It's like, John Deere, right? John Deere is like a massive enterprise that makes like, bajillions of different, tractors and whatnot. But there are companies that look a lot like John Deere, but they're like, they might have 1 or 2 facilities. And so those companies need to maintain their edge, and they don't have as much capital and as much money to just like throw at like crazy fancy schmancy AI solutions and whatnot to like solve their problems. And so they have to get really creative. And so because we work with a lot of these mid-market OEMs, we're seeing a lot of that creativity and willingness to adopt net new technology, which is for us super exciting.
Maybe AGI is not hitting the farmland yet, but it is being integrated into software. For you, how are you thinking about AGI within your product?
It's actually really interesting. I think you have to have really context-aware, structured software to then layer AI on top of it, right? AI as a like technology, like LLMs as a technology, are really useful for taking a massive swaths of structured information and condensing them into useful, like high utility applications and use cases. And so if you don't have that context, you can't do the AI magic, right? Like a lot of the LLM bots and like AI bots are useful from the perspective of like, they were trained on like the internet. And so you can ask like you can ask a chatbot like questions that are somewhere out there. Like it might be in Wikipedia. It's just like freely accessible public information. Very, very good for that. But like in manufacturing, like this is tribal knowledge. This is not written down anywhere or not in a structured, organized way. And so in order to actually use AI in an effective way in manufacturing, you have to lay down the structure first. You have to collect that tribal knowledge. And that is actually how we think about our software. And so we call BuildOS like an 80-20 tool. We automate 80% of the grunt work of making the work instruction, and the 10 or 20% that we're not automating, that is like the rule of thumb, tribal knowledge type of stuff that you can't get from a CAD file. And so that's the stuff that lives inside of the head of the manufacturing engineer or operator that's been on the shop floor for 20, 30 years. And we end up serving as this like data aggregation platform for all that tribal knowledge and associated with specific components over time. And so the TLDR is, I think you have to aggregate all of that context and then layer in LLMs and AI in order to drive value around all of that tribal knowledge. And so that's kind of how we're going about it. We're aggregating the tribal knowledge, and then for our customers, we will then leverage it to their advantage.
Sounds pretty defensible.
Gosh, I mean, I hope so. My God. Yeah.
A lot of work. How are you spending smarter, moving faster?
Good question. Well, as you know, we a couple of months ago moved into a new office in the Empire State Building.
Can't imagine that was
That's
cheap.
No, not at all. Empire State Building, incredible building, not necessarily the friendliest for startups. I think we're one of the only tech companies in there. I think it's like us, and then like LinkedIn has like 10 floors.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're on the 47th floor. We're facing north and west.
47.
Yeah. 47.
Intentional?
No, hilarious though, right? Very patriotic.
Very patriotic.
Yeah. Totally unintentional, but so we're 47th floor facing north and west. So we can see the Chrysler building out the north side, and the west, we're keeping an eye on New Jersey, making sure there aren't anything shifty.
Sus.
Yes. You know those New Jerseyers. So when it comes to making purchasing decisions like that, thinking about how do we structure our finances in a way such that we have longevity and we're not just a, flash in the pan, burn a bunch of money, spend. It's kind of like the Silicon Valley mentality. We have to be very careful and intentional with how we make large scale purchasing decisions and how we can leverage them strategically. And I do think that it does often make sense to spend money to grow. And we've been doing that in various strategic cases.
What do you think is the most impactful thing that you have spent money on as an early stage founder?
Ooh, personally?
Yeah.
Funny enough, this is we're not sponsored by them, but I love what they build. 8 Sleep.
Really?
Unironically, I bought, I'm, as an early stage founder, I'm broke. I got no money, but I thought, I looked at the price tag and I was like, boy, oh boy, all right. And totally worth it. I recommend it to everybody. Changed my life completely.
Sleep now.
Literally, there has been no greater an investment that I've ever made personally in my own life than buying an 8 Sleep.
Wow.
Changed my life.
8 Sleep. Do you hear that?
Permanently changed my life. It's straight up. I am telling my employees, you should go get an 8. Oh, you're not sleeping well? You should get an 8 Sleep.
How do you budget that in?
I pay them enough to go buy an 8 Sleep.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. Love that.
Treat our guys well. Yeah, take care of our guys.
As we wrap up, there's one juicy Kalshi market that I need to talk to you about because this number is not good.
Okay, what is it?
On Kalshi markets right now, there's an 18% chance that Trump brings back manufacturing in America. What do you think about those odds?
I think it's the underdogs that prove everyone wrong time after time. I think there's no greater underdog story than the story of America. I think it's how we win. I love when people doubt us because that just makes the victory all the sweeter.
Fantastic. Let's close on there.
Awesome.
Phil, it was awesome to have you on. Can't wait to go on a site tour with you in Idaho.
We will do it. It'll be great. Saving the West.
Saving the West. Steve, welcome to Sourcery.
Thank you for having me on, Molly.
We need to start off with introductions. So could you please share more on Allen Control Systems?
We are an American defense contractor. Allen is Luke Allen, my co-founder's last name. And the old school defense primes used to name themselves after the people who invented it, Northrop Grumman, Jack Northrop. So I really wanted to harken back to the old school with the name.
And so what is Allen Control Systems?
Oh yeah, so we make AI machine guns that are really purposely built to neutralize drone threats. Also, it can take out other targets as well, but it's primarily meant for the drone warfare of future.
We've been involved in this really rapid increase in drone warfare. I'm really curious to get your perspective on the evolution of this and how you even decided to go after this so severely and what's the current state?
Well, basically what we saw is I sold my last company to DoorDash, and then right when the deal closed, Putin invaded Ukraine pretty much the next week. And we saw very early on that the countermeasures we were investing in as a country, like electronic warfare or microwave technology, I don't think those are going to be long-term sustainable for some of the new drones of the future. So we saw that early and started to work on kinetic defeat solutions because you can't really armor these drones enough against a bullet. So this will be a much more reliable system, especially as the drones start to add AI, and then you can't jam them anymore.
Let's talk about the product a little bit more in depth. So as you built this out, what are the core components that you have built into and designed your product with?
Yeah, I've been telling people at the show here, it's this is the full stack vertically integrated gun turret company, which is a weird thing to say. But we do everything pretty much on this turret because it's all the power electronics, all the PCBs, we cut all the steel. It's an art project of sorts because there's so many things you have to do right to hit a drone that fast, that far away with 1 or 2 shots. So we pretty much do it all.
How did they get the car up here?
Oh my God. My team, I feel so bad. My team had to push it.
What?
They had to push it down these aisles and stuff.
Are you serious?
I know. It was sad.
But you can't drive it?
Not in here. You couldn't turn it on in here.
Oh my
I
God.
know. Isn't that crazy?
'Cause of the fumes?
Yeah, I feel so bad. The team is amazing. You know,
that's a good workout.
Yeah, it's
right?
a good workout.
I mean, your team's full of Army Rangers now.
It's full of a lot of really impressive people. Yeah.
Okay, so we are at Reindustrialize. What I was referring to is below you have a pickup truck with one of your Bullfrogs on it.
Yeah, Bullfrog.
What is Allen Control Systems' role in reindustrialization?
Well, there's a number of things, right? Like obviously there's like 250 something machine parts in Bullfrog. So that's like a lot of machining. You know, we want to prepare to like bring some jobs back. So we're like looking at, you know, doing more machining in our country. So that's like an opportunity area where, you know, we can manufacture like Alabama, like near Huntsville, and which has like obviously business effects that are good on just the business side, but then also bringing jobs back. So you get like the benefit of both.
Where is the headquarters based?
We're Austin, Texas based for most of the engineering and design. And then we have a small DC office.
How big is the team?
We're 52 people.
And like, as you thought about scaling out the team, like, I know talent is like a major constraint right now. Things have been delayed a bit, like the US is severely lacking. So how did you go about recruiting and what's the main pull?
I'm great at it. Like, it's easy. Who wouldn't want to work here? We're making like the greatest weapon system in American history. This is the most accurate gun already, like right now. Like it's easy to recruit. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, that's like a super simple answer.
Yeah.
How do you see the current state of defense tech and like where is it going?
Well, I feel pretty good about our product strategy. I think AI machine guns are the future of warfare. And because the robotics are getting so good now that you can actually really put bullets where you exactly want to, and bullets are very cheap. So I think like one, I've got the best product and I think I will for a while. Where is it going? I mean, it's going to robot on robot action. So like these new products are so lethal that it's tough for like people to be on the battlefield of the future. So that's where it's headed. It's not like exactly augmenting soldiers like some people's vision, but it's actually just like, no, there's going to be drones everywhere. And then there's going to be things shooting at all these drones everywhere. And it's going to become like an economic war of who can produce them the cheapest, which right now we can't.
Between the companies that we've had on through all the different industries, drones are kind of stealing the show. I mean, it's like a one-to-many problem. Like if you can take out a drone, like there's going to be a swarm of them. Yeah. And precision warfare is only getting more intense. I'm curious, like as we evolve and transition into this world of like AI, it's creating more national security issues, problems, vulnerabilities. How do you think about AI within the product and within warfare? A
lot of the big tech is investing in like LLMs. And so like those don't really go on a precision robot. So from like where the money is being invested in, I don't feel like I'm one release away from being put out of business. So like, it's just a much different type of AI in this type of gun. So that's one thing. And, you know, it plays a critical role in making the gun safer. Cause you're like, you know, you're putting in rules like for azimuth and different elevation, like how much it can turn, like where do you not want a bullet to land? Like you can draw bounding boxes. So there's a lot of like software features that I think that the AI will, quote unquote AI, whatever you want to call it, it'll be safer. I think the existing system, the Crows, is a very good system, but I think there's a lot more features you could build to like make it really safe. And so the software I think just helps.
AGI is like a hot topic of the day. I think like when this comes into picture, people are just like thinking that these robots are just going to control themselves. How do you push back on that?
Those people haven't built robots before and don't know how like janky they can be sometimes. You know, like we still have a long way to go in robotics to like get really, really, really awesome robots that are just doing all of our work for us. I think there's a long way to go. So I would say they shouldn't be afraid of anything.
This is more of like an investing show. So I'm really curious from your background. So like what kind of capital are you going after, especially for defense?
Yeah. These are so expensive to build, like these companies. So yeah, we raised like $43 million so far. I've never not been raising in like 8 years. So yeah, we're always raising. That's the game. And yeah, these companies take a lot of capital. So we're burning hot. But
who are some of your investors?
Led by Craft Ventures and then Inspired Capital. One East Coast, one West Coast, you know. Got to cover the coasts.
You're going to need someone in Austin.
I do. I really do. It may be coming. You know, who knows?
So as we look out the next couple of years, what are you most excited about for the company and milestones?
I think that like Bullfrog's going to be everywhere. Like every vehicle in every military that has a gun on it needs to be replaced with a gun that can hit drones. So, I mean, we're going to be in like every country. This is one of the biggest products of all time.
Andy was talking about drone warfare in terms of like one to many, because you need to take down a lot at once.
For sure.
How do you think about that?
Well, I mean, we don't want to release numbers on drone per second killed, like with the gun, because like then you can reverse engineer countermeasures. But you'll see. I mean, you come down to the range, check it out. I'll show you.
Where's the range?
Austin.
Okay.
You want to come watch it?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's get you down there.
I need to come. Like,
Yeah,
that
it's
sounds
amazing.
awesome.
And I had so much fun too. Austin's the best.
So how are you thinking about the business in a performance-driven stance? Like, what are you looking forward to?
So we want to hit like drones going laterally across the battle space at top speeds, multiple with like very few shots. That's like the metric we're driving towards. I rallied the whole team around like, this is what we want to see. That's the final capability to make it battlefield ready and like really start selling these everywhere. So that's what we're all rallied around right now. And we're trying to like limit distractions, but you know, it's pretty hard.
Can imagine.
Startups. Yeah.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on Sourcery.
Thanks for
Excited
having
for
me.
this to drop.
It was fun.
Hey, it's Molly. If you enjoy our interviews, check out our newsletter, Sourcery.vc, where we deliver a once-a-week top deals and tech headlines email, and also go deeper on our podcast interviews. Subscribe to Sourcery today. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen. Link in description to sign up.